Okay, we're ready to go on with our third box on two-point linear perspective. Like I said in the last video, this one's going to be partially above and partially below on the right-hand end of or side of your picture plane. And it's going to be a little closer to this vanishing point than this one was, so that we see even less of the side edge. So it's like this box is in front of you, like this, but here's the front edge, and the back edge is going to be turned. Oops, let's turn it this way. There we go. It's going to be turned in a way that the distance from front to back is quite a bit less than from front to back on the other side. All right? So the distance is going to be squeezed together. That's because it's going to that vanishing point. So all of them need to use the same two vanishing points, remember. We're going to put half of it above and half of it below. So let's start that center line. Remember, you always want to start with the center line. Let's start with the center line 2 inches from the horizon line. I'm sorry, from the side edge, my bad. So 2 inches over. Here's my 2-inch mark at the edge of the paper. I'm going to make a mark below the horizon line, eye level line. And then I'm going to do the same thing above the horizon line, eye level line. Those marks might be in my vertical line and they might not. Okay? Just depends on how much is above and how much is below. Like I said, I want it to have half of it above, half below. Please do that. So that means I'm just going to put 4 there to give myself enough room on my ruler. I'm going to line them up with the 4 on the horizon line. And if it's a 2-inch long line, remember all of them are 2 inches tall for this assignment. Okay? So if it's 2 inches, 1 inch is going to go above and 1 inch is going to go below that eye level line. So I'm going to start at 3, since I'm on 4, starting at 3, and I'm going to go down to 5. All right, now this mark didn't make it in my line, this one did. As a matter of fact, because I was standing out of the way of the camera, I didn't quite get it on the line. But I think it's close enough for us to do this work, okay? So I erased that mark because it's not there, and I want to make it easy with the rest of the work. So now we're going to draw like we did on these. We're going to start at the top and go to the vanishing point to the left, and the bottom to the left. And same process. Put your pencil on it, line it up with the vanishing point, and then draw your line. And you shouldn't be drawing through any of your objects. If you place them correctly, as I've described and giving you the dimensions, and you're using the right size paper, everything should be working for you, okay? So there's the bottom edge of that form. I could have drawn it darker, sorry. Should have. There we go. I think you can see that one now. Remember, don't draw it too dark for yourselves because you're going to be erasing a lot. I'm going to put my pencil at the top of that line now, put my ruler up against my pencil, line it up with the vanishing point at the left, then draw from the vanishing point to the top of the line. And now I'm going to do it to the left vanishing point, from the bottom and the top. Remember, put your pencil right on the point where the 2 lines come together, the vertical and the edge of the box. And then draw the line into the vanishing point. And then do it from the top down too. It's really close to that line, but not quite the same as that line, so don't get confused. I've got something obstructing my ruler's movement. There we go. And draw your line in. All right, so we've got the 2 side faces going back in space. This one's really long, this one's really short. The distance from the front edge to the back edge of this box is a lot less than it was for that box because it's closer to the vanishing point. That means it's turned away from us more from front to back than that one was, which was more right in the center. Okay? So the distance from front to back is going to be considerably less. And in this case, I like to just use my best artistic judgment, right? I kind of go, okay, it's got to look like a cube in my brain, right? So I think the distance now looks pretty appropriate. But also another cue that you could use is, remember, it cannot be as long as that. That would even be beyond the edge of the vanishing point. and it might be about half of the distance. As it gets closer, it gets less and less and less, and that's still too much. So maybe it's even like a fourth of the distance, and that feels about right, okay? So about a fourth of the distance from left to right, I'm sorry, from top to bottom, will give you the distance from left to right. And make sure your ruler is straight up and down. Don't let the back edges go at a different angle. Should still be a 90-degree angle to the horizon line, parallel to this edge, parallel to the paper, and drawing the back edge. Okay, let's draw the opposite side. Now remember, it's tilted away from us, even though it's a cube and it has the same measurements for each angle. I'm sorry, each side is the same measurement for a cube. Because it's tilted away from us, it doesn't have that same distance as it does if it was facing directly to us. So we know it needs to be less than this distance, which is 2 inches. Okay? So what I like to do is I like to measure it and think, all right, it looks like maybe about 4/5 of that distance, like right about there, would be appropriate to make it look like a cube. So I just, made a little mark to remind myself. And then I look at it and I think, that feels too long. So I'm going to move it in just a bit so that it feels like as it's turning away from me, the distance from here to there becomes less than from here to there. And that feels more correct to me, okay? In art, having that mind that can say, yeah, that looks right, or no, that doesn't look right, takes some training. But you can do it, okay? So the tilt to that means that this distance is going to be less than that distance, and it's about 3/4 of the distance. All right, so as we've done before, let's erase, we erase the horizon line that's behind the opaque box. We can't see through it, so we erase the horizon line, the guide level line, the eye level line. And we do it wherever the box is in front of it, but not where we don't have a box. So I see the horizon line there, I see the horizon line there. I don't see the guidelines because they just helped us to create the box correctly. Right, so get rid of the guidelines that helped you to draw the edges of each of the faces of the box. If you erase anything by accident or need to erase it to be able to do the work, then like I've done there, then go back in and put it back in. So I erased the horizon line when I don't want it to be erased, right here and right here. So I'm going to line it back up and redraw up to the edge of the box and off the edge of the box. And I erased part of the edge of the box and getting rid of the horizon line behind it. So I'm going to redraw that too. There we go. Now this box, because it is partially above and partially below the horizon line, the eye level line, it is called on eye level. Even if it was just barely below it or right on it here and then went up, it would be on eye level. Even if it was just barely above it and went below it, it's still on eye level, okay? So keep that in mind. So let's label this baby on eye level, O-N-E-L. And that means it's occupying space that's both above and below eye level. It's on eye level. This is how you would see most things. This looks like it might be a box on the ground in front of us because it's so much below our eye level. But this one might be a building in the distance that we could walk into. Our eye level would be right here, so our eyes would be right there. Our feet might be right here. So that's how big we would be in relationship to that box if it was like a house that we could walk into. Now, it could be bigger, but that's our eye level, so we know how big the person would be to be able to stand next to whatever that object is and be at that eye level on the ground, okay? So the next step to do on this is to take your photograph, and remember when you take your photograph, you want to get all the edges of the picture in drawing in the picture plane of your camera, but don't take a picture of everything else that's on your table, okay? Just a little bit of the extra stuff of the, not the table, the wall. I don't want to see, I don't want you to take it on a tabletop. I want you to put it up on a wall or on a door and take your photo so it's parallel to your camera, not at an angle from your camera. And submit it to your share folder. If you're going to do the shading for possible extra credit, think about, I'll put it right there. Think about this. I want you to have the light source coming over your shoulder and hitting the objects. It's hitting this face and this face and this face more than it is this face, this face, and this face. And this face is directly away from the light source if it's coming down that way, so it's the darkest of the faces, all right? You use tone and you create the values. This picture is on the assignment for you to look at to try to mimic it.